y'all, it's Jessica from Sloppy Swatches. Today I will look at the iconic Chicago collection releasing from Glam Polish exclusively for PolishCon Chicago 2017. So this collection will be available at the event. You could try to find a trusted mule to buy the polishes and ship them to you, and if there are any left over after the event, they may be available for sale. So you'll definitely want to join in on all the social media platforms to stay up to date. So I'll go ahead and give you a full look at this collection. It was sent to me for review. So first up is That's the Chicago Way, and this is inspired by the Untouchables. This is described as an intense hollow with ultra hollow glitter, fine gold hollow micro glitter, and a mix of 3 shades of color shifting multichrome flaky. So if you missed out on May the 4th be with you, but you really like that super hollow finish with those flakies, this might be a perfect polish for you. So here's a quick look at that brush shot, and I'll show you how That's the Chicago Way swatched on my natural nail. So here's a look at that first coat. I will be completely honest, I went in a little bit thicker with this coat than I intended to, but the coverage was amazing. I'm going to go ahead and let that dry and then show you how it builds up for me with a thinner second coat. So here's a look at that second coat, and just make sure that I get all the edges and closer to my cuticle for complete and full coverage. This is not going to be a polish that you have to fight at all. Really user friendly and really easy to apply. So here's a look at that completed mani at 2 coats before a glossy top coat underneath artificial lighting. Of course, I do recommend a nice glossy top coat to help even out that finish and protect the wear time. So here's a view from another angle in direct sunlight with a glossy top coat, and this is my final swatch photo at an angle in that direct sunlight. So next up is All I Do Is Supply Demand, and this is inspired by Al Capone. This polish is described as a dusty lavender, subtle hollow crelly with shifting multichrome flakies, fine gold hollow micro glitters, bright pink hollow micro glitter, and rose hollow micro glitter. And that is such a perfect description for this polish. I'll go ahead and show you a quick look at that brush shot, and I'll show you how All I Do Is Supply Demand swatched on my natural nail. So this is very true to a crelly type formula. The base is a little bit creamy, but it really helps all of those flakies shine through. This first coat was a little bit sheer, but it did make for a nice base for color. I'll let that dry and then show you how it built up for me with a second coat. So here's a look at my second coat. I did go in kind of semi-thick here. The formula is a little bit on the thicker side, but that's kind of my preference anyway. 2 coats did make for complete coverage for me. I did have to be a little bit careful with application. If you prefer thinner coats, you may enjoy the finish more at 3. So here's a look at that completed mani at 2 coats before a glossy top coat underneath artificial lighting. Here's a view from another angle in direct sunlight with a glossy top coat. I think those flakies would look really cool with matte top coat as well. This is my final swatch photo at an angle in direct sunlight. So next up is Keep the Change, You Filthy Animal, and this is of course inspired by Home Alone. This polish is described as an amethyst jelly with ultra hollow glitter, fine hollow micro glitter, color shifting iridescent glitter, and color shifting iridescent flakies. And I really think that is the showstopper in this polish, is those flakies in this jelly base. There's a quick look at that brush shot, and I'll show you how Keep the Change, You Filthy Animal swatched on my natural nail. So this is a jelly base, so it did start out pretty sheer, which is normal and typical of a jelly polish. I did get a ton of flakies here, which is really going to help with the coverage. 1 coat, pretty sheer but nice, so I'll let that dry and then show you how it builds up with a second coat. Now here for my second coat, I did go in fairly heavy and made sure that I manipulated the glitters to where it would cover my nail line. I really think that with 3 coats, the finish would be a little bit deeper and maybe cover that nail line a little bit better, but I did like the finish at 2. Pro tip, I did also apply this over black at 1 coat, and it made for an awesome topper. So here's a look at that completed mani at 2 coats before a glossy top coat underneath artificial lighting. Those flakes do lay down nice and flush, but a good top coat is going to help bring out all of those glitters. So here's a view from another angle with a glossy top coat in direct sunlight, and this is my final swatch photo under that same direct sunlight. So next up is Okay Boys, Let's Go Make a Withdrawal, and this is inspired by John Dillinger. This polish is described as a bright violet packed with crimson shimmer and indigo to purple to red shifting multichrome flakies. So this almost looks like a duochrome around the edges too. I did pick up some orange here in the bottle. I'll go ahead and show you a quick look at that brush shot, and I'll show you how Okay Boys, Let's Go Make a Withdrawal swatched on my natural nail. This formula does have a ton of shimmer in it along with the flakies, so while it looks kind of crelly-like, while applying, it does have super awesome coverage. That shimmer really helps build up the opacity. So with 1 careful coat, I did get nice coverage, but still maybe a little nail line flashing, so I'll let that dry and then show you how it built up for me with a second coat. So here's a quick look at that second easy coat, and this easily brings this one to full coverage, completely opaque with no issues. So I'm going to go ahead and complete this coat, and then I'll show you how the final mani looks. So here's a look at that completed mani at 2 coats before a glossy top coat underneath artificial lighting. I did notice that this one did dry down maybe just a tad dull. So here's a look at that completed mani once more at an angle in direct sunlight with a glossy top coat. That shimmer and those flakes really come through here. This is my final swatch photo at an angle in that direct sunlight. So next up is we're putting the band back together, and this is inspired by the Blues Brothers. This polish is described as a dark berry jelly packed with strong purple to green to blue shimmer as well as holographic flakies. I really feel like this one would make an awesome topper over a black or a darker color as well. I didn't test that, but I definitely will, and I'll put that picture back up on my blog if you're interested. So here's a quick look at that brush shot, and I'll show you how we're putting the band back together, swatched on my natural nail. So here's a quick look at that first easy coat. Even though this isn't a jelly, it seems to be a bit more pigmented of a jelly, and I did get pretty awesome coverage. It may be that shimmer that helps build it up as well. I ended up doing a little bit of a thicker first coat here just to make sure that I got all of my edges and towards the cuticle. I'm going to go ahead and complete this coat, let it dry, and then show you how it built up for me with a second coat. So here's a quick look at that second coat. I am going in a little bit thicker here. If you go thinner, you may need 3, but I really like the depth here at 2, especially with my thicker coat. That shimmer, again, really helps amp up that opacity, and there are those beautiful little flakies in there. So here's a quick look at that completed mani at 2 coats before a glossy top coat underneath artificial lighting. This one may be one of my favorites. It did dry down a little bit dull, so again, I do recommend taking the time to add that top coat. So here's a look from a different angle in direct sunlight with a glossy top coat, and this is my final swatch photo at an angle in that direct sunlight. So lastly today I have Flicky on the Lakey, and this was inspired by one of the members of the Glam Polish fan group. They came up with the name, and I think it's very fitting. This polish seems like a little bit of an oddball within this collection. It's mostly silvers and blues, but then we get to this polish. So I'll go ahead and show you a quick look at that brush shot. This is described as a blue tinted hollow jelly with ultra hollow glitter and indigo to green to purple shifting iridescent flakies. So I'll go ahead and show you how to apply it on my natural nail. This was in a bit of a jelly base as well. I do feel like this is one of the more sheer polishes of the collection. I ended up going in for a pretty heavy-handed first coat here, and I did make nice coverage. I do still have a good bit of nail line, so I'll go ahead and let that dry and then show you how it built up for me with the second coat. Again, I am working with a little bit of a thicker second coat and taking some time to make sure that I manipulate those flakies towards the nail line. I had pretty much a really close to full coverage here. I honestly feel like I would have preferred the finish at 3 coats though, especially upon looking at my photos and editing. But here's a quick look at that completed mani at just 2 coats before a glossy top coat, and then once more at an angle in direct sunlight with a glossy top coat. So this is my final swatch photo at an angle in that direct sunlight, and that does wrap up my swatch and review of the iconic Chicago collection. I wish so badly that I was going to be attending this year. Maybe next year I'll be at Gem Beauty that same weekend in New York. But I think this is an awesome stipulation for the guys that are getting to attend. If you're interested in seeing any more of these photos or making a bigger wish list, you can visit my blog at sloppyswatches.com, or you can also follow me on Instagram at sloppyswatches. So thanks so much for watching, guys. See you next time.